Just ahead on CTV News.
A U.S. Senate candidate's campaign sign is vandalized. I'm Katara Jones in Laurel. I'll have all those details coming up on CTV News.
Plus, Montgomery County announces its new superintendent.
I'm confident that you will see and hear from me a lot. But please know that you can always count on me to do a lot of listening.
And girls flag football is ready to take the gridiron here at Blake High School in Silver Spring. I'm Bryce Parker. Got the story coming up next on CTV News.
Those stories and more on CTV News up next.
Good evening. This is CTV News for Tuesday, June 18th. I'm Byron Scott.
And I'm Mariah Jalad. Thanks for joining us.
Well, disturbing images that invoke racism target a Democratic U.S. Senate candidate.
The campaign sign of Angela Alsobrooks was recently vandalized. CTV's Katara Jones is in Laurel with more on this developing story.
I'm on the 13,000 block of Laurel Bowie Road where the Angela Alsobrooks Senate campaign sign has been vandalized. And I want to show our viewers at home what exactly is on the sign. Now, someone wrote KKK. Now, KKK stands for the Ku Klux Klan. And at the top on Alsobrooks' forehead is a cross-haired symbol. Now, Alsobrooks, a Democrat, is running to be Maryland's next U.S. Senator. And CTV News spoke to shoppers here in Laurel about those disturbing images on the sign.
It just shows how America just displays racism all around. I mean, it's something that we've been dealing with for years. It's never gone away. But now it's just becoming more exposed and it's becoming more overt.
I understand you can have different viewpoints, but I think vandalizing and stuff is trying to take it to another level. I mean, it's not what it's supposed to be.
This isn't the first time the Alsobrooks campaign has been targeted. Her field office in Silver Spring was burglarized back in April, and that incident is still under investigation. Katara Jones, CTV News.
Alsobrooks is in a tight race against former Governor Larry Hogan. Well, Maryland's largest school district has a new leader. The Montgomery County School Board has selected Dr. Thomas Taylor as the new superintendent of MCPS. Taylor comes to our area from Stafford County, where he led the school district there for the past 6 years. Taylor was named the 2024 Virginia Region 3 Superintendent of the Year. And Taylor, who is a product of Montgomery County Public Schools, brings with him more than 25 years of education experience and 12 years of leadership experience at the district level.
The two ingredients to building trust really have to do with transparency and then also some accountability. So I think that in the coming months, we're going to be looking very hard at the system structures and processes that are in place in Montgomery County and public schools, and how we might foster systems, structures, and processes that support people knowing what's going on in their school community, and that we elevate that level of transparency. And candidly, when something doesn't go well, that we own it, and that we hold ourselves accountable, and that we're responsible for when things don't go well.
The school board is set to vote on Dr. Taylor's appointment next Tuesday.
The American Civil Liberties Union of Maryland is applauding Governor Wes Moore for pardoning around 100,000 people for low-level marijuana convictions. In a statement, the union says this step marks a move further away from criminal penalties. While praising the pardons, the ACLU says there's more work to do.
As we all know, more than 50 years of intentional smear campaign and propaganda spewed by the media and politicians have allowed for law enforcement to really get away with targeting and criminalizing Black people for these offenses. And so this is an important step to restoring the harm that's been done. But what's also a really important step and critical if we're really going to be as impactful as I think we all want to be in remedying the harms that have been caused is prioritizing felony marijuana convictions as well, and not just focusing on the low-level offenses. So we really think that's an important next step.
On July 1st, records will be automatically expunged for people with cases in which the only charge was misdemeanor marijuana possession. This will affect about 40,000 of the cases Moore pardoned yesterday.
And Governor Wes Moore announced the end dates of worker and business relief programs in connection with the collapse of the Key Bridge in Baltimore. Since their inception in April, the programs have delivered more than $37 million in assistance, including $6.4 million for minority and women-owned businesses and $22 million to support businesses located in the Baltimore region. The deadline to apply for the Department of Labor Worker Support Program and the Department of Commerce Business Assistance Program is June 28th. The deadline to apply for the Department of Housing and Community Development Grant Program is August 15.
A man is dead and a woman is injured after a crash involving an ATV and a pickup truck. Officers responded to the 7500 block of Walker Mill Road in the unincorporated section of Capitol Heights around 10 last night. There they found two ATV passengers suffering from injuries, 29-year-old Ronald Hayes Jr. and his passenger. Hayes was taken to an area hospital where he was pronounced dead. Police say the woman is being treated for her injuries. The driver of the pickup was not injured and remained on the scene.
And police are investigating a two-vehicle crash that killed a motorcycle driver. It happened at around 3:30 Saturday morning on Pennsylvania Avenue near Walters Lane in District Heights. The driver of the motorcycle has been ID'd as 35-year-old Jonathan Harkness of District Heights. Investigators say the driver of the sedan was not hurt and did remain on the scene.
And Prince George's police have released the identity of the man who was shot and killed during a youth football game on Saturday in Potomac High School in Oxon Hill. The deceased man is 32-year-old Christopher Mosey. Investigators say Mosey got into a dispute with another man who pulled a gun and started shooting, hitting Mosey and a 5-year-old. Mosey died at a local hospital. The child's injuries were non-life-threatening. The search for the shooter continues. Anyone with information is asked to call police.
A setback for the Biden administration. A federal judge has temporarily blocked the administration's new Title IX rule, which would have expanded protections for LGBTQ students in 6 states. The policy had been opposed by Republican attorneys general. U.S. District Judge Danny Reeves called the new regulation arbitrary. The ruling temporarily blocks enforcement in Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, Tennessee, West Virginia, and Virginia. And you're watching CTV News. Still to come.
A suspect is in custody after stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars in equipment from construction sites. We'll have that story after the break.
Elmer loves to giggle. Elmer's mommy taught him that laughing can help when you have a big feeling, like when you feel happy. Make sure to celebrate when you're happy and laugh it out. Love your mind.
Welcome back. A suspect is in custody for allegedly stealing an estimated $1 million in construction equipment. Officers carrying out a search warrant found the equipment at the home of 38-year-old Brandon Green in Oxon Hill. Police say the search warrant was a part of an ongoing investigation into thefts of construction equipment and machinery. Investigators searching the property found 13 stolen skid steers, 2 excavators, and numerous trailers and other building equipment.
We believe he had a Ford Excursion, a large SUV that he was towing a big trailer with. There were some stolen trailers on the property that we found. We do have some ring cameras that showed him stealing trailers with that the Excursion. So we believe he was using a big truck with a big heavy-duty trailer to load this equipment on and take away from the scene. We haven't confirmed it, but we believe he was trying to sell it for profit. I mean, they're pretty valuable machines, and if you can get them and sell them for, a couple $1,000s, it's, easy money for him, but these companies are out they're big bucks, some of them $60,000, $70,000, $80,000.
Green is currently charged with theft scheme over $100,000 and multiple felony theft charges. He's also been charged with multiple counts of auto theft. And a former Maryland police officer is found guilty by a federal jury for using excessive force and violating the civil rights of a driver during a traffic stop. 40-year-old Philip Dupree was working for the Fairmount Heights Police Department in 2019 when he pulled over a speeding driver that crossed the county line into the district. Federal prosecutors say after handcuffing the driver, Dupree sprayed pepper spray into the driver's face at close range. Dupree faces up to 10 years in prison. His sentencing has not yet been scheduled.
And hoping to stave off the nation's mental health crisis among young people, the U.S. Surgeon General is calling on Congress to require warning labels for social media platforms similar to those on cigarette boxes. In an opinion piece in the New York Times, Dr. Vivek Murtha said social media is a contributing factor in the mental health crisis among young people. He said the labels would regularly remind parents and adolescents that social media has not been proved safe. The Surgeon General also says kids who spend an average of 3 hours or more on social media double their risk for anxiety and depression symptoms. And with temps expected to rise as the week continues, you may want to keep your pets inside. Animal Control offers this reminder that pets cannot be kept outdoors when it is 90 degrees or higher. It is also illegal to leave your pet in an unattended vehicle, even if the AC is on. Pet owners are also advised to keep an eye out for their pet paws on the hot ground, cut pet hair down to 1 inch, and provide pets with fresh, cold water. For more safety tips, you can visit the website there on your screen.
And the National Harbor will host a jubilant Juneteenth Freedom Day celebration tomorrow. The event will feature a Black-owned business marketplace, a drum circle, performances by Secret Society Band, and more. It's the 3rd annual celebration the Harbor is hosting, and they've got some new draws for returning visitors.
The newest thing that we have which is called our drummer circle. So we wanted to kind of really incorporate the history of Juneteenth and the celebration of our ancestors. So we wanted to bring in the beat of the drum with our drummer circle. That's partnership with Prince George's Arts and Humanities Council, along with a sip and paint that they have, which is the colors of freedom. And they have another activation around 3 p.m. that people can come. That's collaborative effort with an artist there as well. I'm excited for the people. I'm excited for the community to come together and really enjoy and celebrate, you know, the music, the culture, the food, everything that we have here, and Secret Society, of course.
The celebration takes place at the National Harbor tomorrow from 11 to 7.
And for Americans who are descendants of enslaved Africans, finding your ancestral roots before 1870 can be extremely difficult. The 1870 census was the first one to include the names of African Americans.
Prior to that, enslaved Black people were listed by hash marks. As we celebrate Juneteenth, tune in to CTV tomorrow as our executive director, Sandra Peaches, goes on a journey of finding out who she really is.
Okay. So now that you've taken our test, we're going to be able to tell you where your foremother was taken from, basically, which specific part of Africa she was taken from.
And you can watch Who Am I? African Ancestry tomorrow at 4:30, 8:30, and 11:30 right here on CTV.
And still to come on CTV News.
It's Tuesday, so you know what that means. After the break, financial expert Ernest Burley is joining us for another Money Matters segment. Stay tuned.
We said we'd never give in to a meltdown.
Okay.
We'd never babysit with a screen. We said we'd never let the toys take over.
Mariella.
Never leave the house looking, well, and never let them out of our sight. Skylar, come here. Cars get hot fast, and kids can be at risk. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock.
That first time seeing my son, I feel like my life did a 180. I was already trying to change my perspective of life and really just be a father figure that I never had. Being present is the most important part. I'm still growing every day. Becoming a better version of myself. To be the better mirror for my son. I mean, he's just growing. He's becoming his own person. Man, at first I saw him dance, bro, he brings the vibes, you know what I'm saying? He brings the party no matter what. He really a definition of like why he loves somebody. And I love him to the death of me.
Up to 70% of people aged 65 and older will need long-term care to help with everyday activities, such as getting out of bed and bathing.
This kind of care can be expensive, but long-term care insurance can help cover the costs you should ever need it. Ernest Burley from Burley Insurance and Financial Services is here to talk about covering your assets with long-term care insurance. Thank you, sir, of course, for joining us. Talk about long-term insurance care. What is that?
Well, it's a policy that kind of kicks in if a person can no longer do 2 of 6 ADLs, and ADL stands for activities of daily living, like bathing, eating, transferring, toileting, continence, dressing, things of that nature. If you can't do 2 of the 6, the policy kicks in to provide a benefit to have someone come help you out. Or if you have one cognitive impairment like dementia or Alzheimer, it kicks in on that too.
I see. So why would you say that long-term care is kind of taking care of yourself, or TLC?
TLC is tender loving care, right? So the reason I say that is because if a person has the mindset to secure a policy, they're thinking about taking care of their loved ones, buffering their loved ones emotionally, psychologically, mentally, physically, financially, because that's a big burden to carry. And also, you're trying to take care of yourself and also to protect your assets, right? So that's why I say it's TLC. It's TLC to protect your loved ones, to protect your assets, and to protect yourself.
But it sounds like the time to get the insurance is before you can't do things, correct?
Oh, that's with anything. Yeah, when you start having health ailments, then it's more difficult to get long-term care, life insurance, disability, anything dealing with your body, you want to get it earlier as opposed to later.
I see. So does your normal insurance not cover this, or something like Medicare, it wouldn't cover long-term care?
That's a good question. A lot of people think Medicare does, but Medicare does not cover that. It covers up to 100 days of skilled care, and then after 100 days, Medicare is done with that. But most times when people need long-term care services, they don't need skilled care, they need custodial care, which is much different than skilled care.
So what point should someone begin shopping around for this insurance?
I recommend, like, in, the early, I got a policy when I was in my 20s, right? Because it was very cheap, it was part of the group plan, and I'm a planner, so I'm like, just in case. But I would recommend no later than like 40s, because I have people coming to me now, they're like in their 60s or 70s, it's much higher, and if you have some health condition, it may make you ineligible, so you don't wait until you're that old, because the age and the health is going to get you.
So you mentioned those two things, custodial and then skilled care.
Right.
So what are the differences between the two?
Custodial care is helping you out with the ADLs, right? The activities of daily living. And it's normally because of a chronic condition that's probably not going to get better, unfortunately. Versus skilled care is like normally under a doctor's supervision. It's like skilled nursing. They're maybe giving medication, they're doing rehab, they're changing sterile bandages and things of that nature with the hopes of you going home eventually, right? So it's temporary versus custodial is more like going to be a chronic type situation.
How does someone know what to shop around for? You're in good health, things are looking well. How do you know how much insurance to get and not buy too much or too little? Yeah, well, the average cost of that service now is about $7,000 or $8,000 per month, right? So, and I've had clients paying over $10,000 a month for long-term care services for their loved one. So you look at a monthly benefit. So the monthly benefit should be at least $6,000 or $7,000 if you want to make sure that you're not spending down your assets to take care of something like that. Yeah.
And you said that Medicare won't pay for something like this. What about Medicaid?
Medicaid does pay for long-term care services, but you have to be at the poverty level to qualify for Medicaid, right? Okay. And each state has their own requirements, but the general rule of thumb is about $2,000. You can't have more than $2,000 in assets to qualify for Medicaid. Wow. Yeah.
So can people transfer the assets out so they can be used, so they can use Medicare, or Medicaid rather?
Yeah, that people are always looking for a way to kind of skirt the system. So the government, of course, looks at that, right? So they have a 5-year look back to try to combat people trying to put that unnecessary burden on the government. So there's a 5-year look back to try to combat people trying to do that.
So what does that mean? Basically, they're going to look at your records for 5 years?
Right. They look at your financial assets over the past 5 years. And if they see that you've been transferring assets, selling things under market value, gifting items to get them out of your name, they're going to say, well, these are disqualifying events, and you'll be ineligible for Medicaid for a certain period of time, which is normally based on the amount and the cost of coverage. They have a formula to say, okay, this is how long you're going to be ineligible for Medicaid because you had a disqualifying event.
Okay, Mr. Burley, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, individuals should contact their own financial professional and attorneys to help questions about specific situations or needs before taking any action based on this information. And after the break, CTV's Bryce Parker visits a girls' flag football team in Montgomery County.
And Simon Buggs has our Wednesday sports page, and he's talking all things basketball. Don't change the channel. We'll be right back.
What's up, sports fans? I've got a packed sports page for you today as I recap the Capital Hoops Summer League All-Star Game, and after years of coming up short, a certain NBA team finally gets over the hump. Those stories and more coming right up. Don't go anywhere.
A biosimilar is a type of biologic medication.
Just like brand name drugs have generic versions, original biologics can have biosimilars.
And as with generics, biosimilars can be made by multiple companies.
To be approved by the FDA, studies must show that the biosimilar is not expected to have any new or worsening side effects as compared to the original biologic.
The result is more medication options
at potentially more competitive prices.
Okay, everyone, it's time for your Tuesday sports page. We begin with some high school basketball news. It was an exciting time for basketball fans last night as the Capital Hoops Summer League held their All-Star game. The public school All-Stars who rocked the blue uniforms took the court against the private school All-Stars who wore the red ones. Starting with the first quarter, the private school All-Stars shot the ball well, and due to plays like this three-ball hit by wing player Grant Polk from St. Albans, this behind-the-back move into a mid-range shot by Jalen Wills, and this pump fake into a dunk from Angelo Dickerson, the private school All-Stars ended the quarter up 33-20. Moving on to the second quarter, the public school's offense began to heat up. It made shots like this three-pointer by Hayden Walsh, coming from a driving kick by Tavares Vaughn Cooper, this alley-oop by Vaughn Cooper to wing J.J. Kelly, this nice bounce pass by Kelly that led to a triple for Walsh, as well as this and-one layup by Vaughn Cooper helped the public school All-Stars go on a 37-33 run and end the quarter up 57-53. Now to the third quarter, the two teams traded baskets with each other, and shots from both teams like this alley-oop dunk from forward Andrew Maria and this dunk from wing Khalid Norcom from Clinton Grace High School kept the game close as the public school All-Stars only led 87-86 going into the final quarter. And in the final quarter, the public school All-Star team was able to extend their lead and come out on top in the end, 125-124. I caught up with J.J. Kelly, who scored 21 points and was named All-Star Game MVP after the game, and he told me what his reaction was when he found out that he won the award.
I was definitely surprised. I didn't know I had that good of a game. I was just, you know what I'm saying, playing with the guys, having fun. But I definitely thought some other guys played pretty good as well. But I'm definitely thankful that I was given MVP for the All-Star game.
And Kelly, who was from Pennsylvania, also touched on what it felt like playing with a team that is filled with such talented players.
It definitely feels great. It's a lot better than out in PA where I'm at. I mean, I love all the guys. All the guys are cool people, like easy to get conversations, great atmosphere. All the guys are great players. They're all aggressive. Like they all had their own style of play. So it's definitely good coming out here and experiencing all these different type of play styles to prepare me for the next level.
Moving on to more basketball news, a new NBA champion was crowned last night as the Boston Celtics won their 18th title in franchise history, the most of any NBA team. The C's defeated the Dallas Mavericks in 5 games to capture the Larry O'Brien Trophy. Boston had been knocking on the door for some time now and was finally able to win the chip. And shooting guard Jaylen Brown, who was awarded the Finals MVP, touched on how much their past shortcomings led them to finally coming out on top.
I think we learned. I think we learned from all our mistakes, all of our adversity. I think it's made us stronger, made us tougher, and all season you can see it. You know, we started from the jump. We made all the sacrifices. We played both ends of the ball at a high level. We didn't skip any steps, and this was the result. But all of those experiences led to here. Like all of those moments where we came up short. We felt like we let the city down. We felt like we let ourselves down. All of that compiled is how we get to this moment.
Switching gears to some flag football news, flag football season is coming up, and some teams have already started practicing. CTV News' Bryce Parker is over at James Blake High School with more.
I really like football, but I've always been nervous to play. So when I heard they were gonna have a girls flag football, I got excited.
Excitement and anticipation grow as the inaugural girls flag football season in Montgomery County approaches.
With the inaugural season, I hope that we can start it off with a great quality and that coaches and players are invested in it to make it what it can be.
And that investment starts now. Girls who are playing their first sport or are already multi-sport athletes are both coming together during these summer practices.
For me personally, I definitely have more fun with this sport because not only the people, but the environment and the workouts are more intense.
The Blake varsity boys had an undefeated 2023 season last fall, and these Blake girls behind me are looking to replicate that same success this upcoming fall. But the season won't just be measured by wins, losses, or touchdown dances, but also by the life lessons learned on the field.
I feel like this game teaches you a lot, and before I've always been nervous to take opportunities, and now it's just you either do it or you don't, you know?
For coaches and players alike, the skills showcased on the gridiron will hopefully open doors for women in this male-dominated space.
My hopes is to give as many athletes here the opportunity for a college scholarship so that they can go to school and play flag football, which was a dream of mine that's passed, but now athletes can have that.
I think it's good to put women on the map too and show that we're not female athletes, we're just athletes too, you know?
This means a lot because a lot of people only look at football as something a man can do, and growing up, I was always playing a place where I could only do certain things, so having this chance to do this really makes me happy.
Bryce Parker, CTV Sports.
Appreciate you, Bryce, for that great story. And that wraps up your Tuesday sports page. Simon Buggs, CTV Sports.
Thank you, Simon. Let's get a quick check now at our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight will be partly cloudy with a low of 69.
And tomorrow, Juneteenth, will be nice and sunny. We'll have a high of 87. Thursday, we return to the 90s. We're looking at a high of 91 and low of 73. And kicking off the weekend, Friday is going to be hot, hot, hot. Expect temps to reach a high of 95.
And now for our community calendar. Tomorrow night, Wellspring Manor and Spa is hosting Harvest of Heritage, a Juneteenth farm-to-table dinner celebration.
Step into a world where each flavor tells a story of resilience, community, and tradition. The event takes place from 5 to 9. For more information, you can call the number on your screen.
And that's our news for tonight. I'm Byron Scott. Thanks for joining us.
I'm Mariah Jalad. We'll see you again Thursday. Good night.